going on today, YouTube? Rob here. In today's video, we're finishing up the Yugi's Legendary Deck 2 deck profiles, and this deck is the Blue Eyes deck that comes with this set. I really enjoy Blue Eyes as an archetype and as a deck profile. I find it's very simple to play, and you know what? It's actually very fun and nostalgic. This deck profile for the Yugi Legendary Decks 2 is actually really cool, and I hope you guys enjoy. Before we get started, I just want to say, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing for more fun Yu-Gi-Oh videos, and also leave a like and a comment on what you might want to see next. And without wasting any more of your time, let's get into it. Alright guys, let's finish off with our Yugi's Legendary Decks 2 deck profiles. This is the Blue Eyes deck that comes with the set. We have the one token, which is pretty good. And we have one copy of Rider of the Stormwinds. So you can target one dragon type normal monster you control and equip this monster from your hand or field to that target. If a monster equipped with this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. And if a monster equipped with this card would be destroyed, you destroy this card instead. Next up, we have King of the Swamp. This card lets you substitute this for any one fusion material monster, but the other fusion material monster or monsters must be correct. And you can discard this card to the grave and add one polymerization from your deck to your hand. Then we have one copy of Kidmodo Dragon. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one dragon type monster from your hand. And you cannot special summon monsters except dragon type monsters, nor conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this effect. You can only use this effect of Kidmodo Dragon once per turn. Next up, we have one copy of Tiger Dragon. So when this card is tribute summoned by tributing a dragon monster, you can target up to 2 face down spell and trap cards your opponent controls and destroy those targets. Then we have Ancient Lamp. So during your main phase, you can special summon one Lajin, Genie of the Lamp, from your hand, and this card must be face up on the field to activate and resolve this effect. Before damage calculation, if this card is being attacked by an opponent's monster and was face down at the start of the damage step, you can target one monster your opponent controls except the attacking monster, and the attacking monster attacks it instead, and you proceed with damage calculation. Next up, we have Blade Knight. So while you have one or less cards in your hand, this card gains 400 attack, and if you control no other monsters, the effects of flip monsters destroyed by battle with this card are negated. Then we have one copy of Alexandrite Dragon, just a level 4 beat stick. He is a vanilla monster with 2000 attack and 100 defense. And then we have another vanilla monster in Vorse Raider, again, level 4. Vanilla monster with 1900 attack and 1200 defense. And then we have Lajin, Mystical Genie of the Lamp, to go with our lamp, our Ancient Lamp. Again, level 4 vanilla monster with 1800 attack and 1000 defense. And then we have Battlelox, who is level 4 vanilla with 1700 attack and 1000 defense. Next up, we have Master with Eyes of Blue. So when this card is normal summoned, you can target one level 1 light tuner monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. You can shuffle this card from your graveyard into the deck and then target one effect monster you control and send it to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon one Blue Eyes monster from your graveyard other than the sent monster. And you can only use this effect of Master with Eyes of Blue once per turn. Then we have Protector with Eyes of Blue. So when this card is normal summoned, you can special summon one level 1 light tuner from your hand, and you can target one effect monster you control, send it to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon one Blue Eyes monster from your hand. You can only use this effect of Protector with Eyes of Blue once per turn. And then we have one copy of each stone. So White Stone of Legend lets you add a Blue Eyes White Dragon from your deck to your hand when this card is sent to the graveyard. And White Stone of Ancients, once per turn during the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was sent there this turn, you can special summon one Blue Eyes monster from your deck. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one Blue Eyes monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand, and you can only use this effect of the White Stone of Ancients once per turn. And then we have one copy of Kaiba Man, which lets you tribute this card and special summon one Blue Eyes White Dragon from your hand. And then for our little bit of a Blue Eyes engine or other Blue Eyes monsters, we have Dragon Spirit of White. This card is always treated as a Blue Eyes card. This card is treated as a normal monster while in the hand or graveyard. And when this card is normal or special summoned, you can target one spell or trap your opponent controls and banish it. During either player's turn, if your opponent controls a monster, you can tribute this card and special summon one Blue Eyes White Dragon from your hand. And then lastly, for our one-of monsters, we have Maiden with Eyes of Blue. When this card is targeted for an attack, you can negate the attack, and if you do, change the battle position of this card. Then you can special summon one Blue Eyes White Dragon from your hand, deck, or graveyard, and during either player's turn, when a card or effect is activated that targets this face-up card, you can special summon one Blue Eyes White Dragon from your hand, deck, or graveyard. You can only use one Maiden of Eyes Blue effect per turn, and only once that turn. And lastly, for our monsters, seeing as this is a Blue Eyes / Kaiba deck, we have 3 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon. Again, nothing special about him. He is a level 8 vanilla monster with 3000 attack and 2500 defense. But he is the heart and soul of the deck, as a lot of plays revolve or run around Blue Eyes. But that's it for our monsters. Let's move on to our spells, starting things off with Unexpected Die. If you control no monsters, you can special summon one level 4 or lower normal monster from the deck. Then we have Fusion Substitute. This card's name is always treated as Polymerization. This lets you fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters you control as fusion materials. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one fusion monster in your graveyard and return it to the extra deck, then draw one card. Then we have Pot of Dichotomy. At the start of your main phase 1, you can target 3 monsters with different types in your graveyard. Shuffle all 3 into the deck, then draw 2 cards. You cannot conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this card. Then we have one copy of Where Art Thou. If you control a face-up level 1 monster, you can add one level 1 monster from your deck to your hand, and during the end phase of this turn, take 2000 damage if you did not normal summon the added monster, or a card with the same name after activating this card. And we have one copy of Trade-In, which lets you discard one level 8 monster and draw 2 cards. And we also have one copy of Ancient Rules, which lets you special summon one level 5 or higher normal monster from your hand. Then we have one copy of Silent Doom, which lets you target one normal monster in your graveyard and special summon it in face-up defense position, but it cannot attack. Then we have one copy of Shrink, which lets you target one face-up monster on the field, and the original attack of that monster is halved until the end of this turn. Then we have one copy of Enemy Controller. You can activate one of these effects. You can either target one face-up monster your opponent controls and change that target's battle position, or tribute one monster, then target one face-up monster your opponent controls and take control of said target until the end phase. And then we have one copy of Polymerization to fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion materials. Then we have one copy of Mausoleum of White. During your main phase, you can normal summon one level 1 light tuner monster in addition to your normal summon or set. You can only gain this effect once per turn. And once per turn, you can target one face-up monster you control and send one normal monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard. And if you do, the targeted monster gains attack and defense equal to the level of that monster sent to the graveyard times 100 until the end of this turn, even if this card leaves the field. You can banish this card from your graveyard and add one Burst Stream of Destruction from your deck to your hand. Then we have one copy of Beacon of White. If you do not control another Beacon of White, you can have 3 or more Blue Eyes monsters, and you have 3 or more Blue Eyes monsters in your graveyard. You can target one of them and special summon it, but it has its effects negated. Also, equip it with this card. When this card leaves the field, banish the equipped monster. Other monsters you control cannot attack, and also if you have any number of Blue Eyes monster or monsters in your graveyard, the equipped monster can attack up to the number of times during each battle phase. Then we have one copy of Burst Stream of Destruction, which lets you, if you control Blue Eyes White Dragon, destroy all monsters your opponent controls. Blue Eyes White Dragon cannot attack the turn you activate this card. And lastly, for our spells, we have Melody of Awakening Dragon, which lets you discard one card and add up to 2 dragon monsters with 3,000 or more attack and 2,500 or less defense from your deck to your hand. That's it for our spells. Let's move on to our traps. Starting things off with Jar of Avarice. This lets you target 5 cards in your graveyard except Jar of Avarice and shuffle all 5 into the deck, then draw 1 card. You can only activate 1 Jar of Avarice per turn. Next up, we have Fusion Reserve, which lets you reveal 1 fusion monster in your extra deck and add one of the fusion materials listed on that card from your deck to your hand. Then you can add 1 polymerization from your graveyard to your hand. And we have 1 copy of Cloning. When your opponent normal or flip summons a monster that has a level, target that face-up monster and special summon 1 clone token with the same original type, attribute, level, attack, and defense as that target. When that card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, destroy this token. Then we have 1 copy of Shadow Spell. This lets you activate this card by targeting 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. It loses 700 attack and also cannot attack or change its battle position. And when this card leaves the field, destroy this card. And we have 1 copy of Final Attack Orders, which requires all face-up monsters on the field are changed to attack position and their battle positions cannot be changed. Now, lastly, for our traps, we have 1 copy of Negate Attack. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, target the attacking monster, negate the attack, and end the battle phase. That's it for our main deck. Let's move on to our very small extra deck, starting things off with Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. Nothing special about him, he just requires all 3 Blue Eyes, and I believe he's level 12, and requires nothing else but the 3 Blue Eyes, and has 4,500 attack and 3,800 defense. Then we have 1 copy of First of the Dragons. This requires 2 normal monsters and must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. You can only control 1 First of the Dragons, and this card cannot be destroyed by battle except battle with a normal monster and is unaffected by other monsters' effects. Lastly, we have 1 copy of Azure Eyes, Silver Dragon. This requires 1 tuner and 1 or more non-tuner monsters. If this card is special summoned, Dragon-type monsters you currently control cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects until the end of the next turn. Once per turn, during your standby phase, you can target 1 normal monster in your graveyard and special summon that target. That rounds off our legendary decks, Yugi's Legendary Decks 2. That also rounds off this Blue Eyes deck profile. Alright guys, that's it for this deck profile, and that's it for the Yugi Legendary Decks 2 box. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to leave a like, be sure to comment, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. I am going to be entering into the Remote Duel YCS happening later this week. I'm sort of deciding on what I want to play, but right now I'm kind of thinking Sword Soul, but maybe I might pick something else. So maybe leave a comment on what deck you guys think I should play, and as always, I will see you in the next one. That's game.